Seating arrangements aside, has Congress learned any real lessons from the shootings in Tucson? Will they tone down the political rhetoric? Joining us now, John Avlon, political columnist for the Daily Beast. And in St. Louis, Missouri, Dana Loesch, editor of BigJournalism.com. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
John, I'll begin with you. Do you think for any substantial period of time there'll be a softer, a kinder, gentler political tone?
I think there will be in the short run, and there should be. I think the American people have actually been sending a pretty consistent message, even before the shooting, that they want to turn the page on the really harsh hyperpartisanship of the past. That doesn't mean principled disagreement. Of course, that's going to be at the heart of our debates. But the really excessive demonization of people who disagree with you, that's got to stop.
Dana, as a leader in the Tea Party movement, do you think the rhetoric should be toned down a bit?
I don't think the rhetoric really is any different than it always has been. I mean, you have to consider, too, history. Back in the 1800s, you had the people that we look up to the most, the founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams. They fought tooth and nail. James Madison called Thomas Jefferson the son of a half-bred Indian squaw raised on hoe cakes, which sounds a lot meaner than we have now. And I think honestly, when you compare to the olden days, the days of yore, we're a lot more civil now than we used to be.
John, you're shaking your head.
Yeah,
right?
Dana, I absolutely appreciate the point Dana's trying to make using history, but too often that's used to excuse inexcusable rhetoric. Thomas Jefferson also said that every difference of opinion is not a difference of principle. That's a bit of wisdom we need to reassert right now.
It's pointing out the fact that this rhetoric is no different now than it always has been.
Sure it is.
And to assume that it's related to the shooting, this isn't related to the shooting any more than the Titanic was.
Well, let me move on. Dana, let me get back to you just for a second. Sarah Palin took some heat this week for some comments that she made after the shooting. Politically speaking, do you think she damaged herself this week?
Monstrous criminality. Stand
Dana?
on their own.
Do I think she
damaged herself politically?
with the bloodline? No, I don't think that she did. I think that she used vivid language. Do I think that it was in poor taste? No, because I think what was in poor taste was this huge organized push and this targeting of private citizens, going after them for a horrible tragedy that happened that was completely unrelated to them. I don't think that, we talk about tone, we talk about speech, we talk about rhetoric, all of this stuff. Again, what we're seeing now is nothing any different than we've seen during the 60s or any other time. And that's not to excuse it.
Yeah.
It's to say this is how politics is. This is how politics has always been.
Well,
politics uses the language of war.
Let me come back to John just for a second. Politically speaking, John, who set the better tone this week, Sarah Palin or President Obama?
I think President Obama. I think Sarah Palin looks small by comparison, but they have fundamentally different roles. The president is obligated to be the leader of the whole nation, and I think he hit a good tone that week. Sarah Palin's obligation right now is she's deeply popular with one segment of the population. She's polarizing at large. But look, this is not, clearly we know that Jared Lawfer was insane. His shooting had nothing to do with politics. We need to reassert that. But surely we can take away the lesson from this, that the violent rhetoric we've seen, the gun imagery we've seen, that has got to stop. And instead of one party always taking offense when it comes from the other guy and then excusing when it happens comes from someone on their side, that's got to stop as well.
Dana, we heard about the proposed seating arrangements for the State of the Union address in a couple of weeks, Republicans and Democrats sitting next to each other. Symbolic, of course, but do you think it's a good idea?
Well, Congress has always been free to sit wherever they want to. They've never had a assigned seating. I think it's just, is it going to 1 hour of sitting together? What is it going to do? I think that you could achieve a lot more by people talking more when Congress is in session, maybe meeting and having lunch or shaking hands, doing all this stuff. 1 hour sitting together isn't going to do anything.
John, is this the answer to all the problems out there?
Of course not. But it is a positive symbolic step. It shows that the Congress is listening. And I think both to Dana's point, though, what we really need is a cultural change. Back in the days when Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill will have principal disagreements all day and then have a drink at night, that socialization, that recognizing that disagreements don't lead to demonization, that's what we need to reassert. That's a larger cultural shift.
I think we still have that too in certain areas. I know Democrats and Republicans who get along just fine, and they're able to go to the floor and they're able to debate legislation and go and have a scotch after.
That is going to have to be the last word. Dana Loesch in St. Louis, Missouri, and John Avlon here in New York. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Spirited discussion on this Saturday morning. We appreciate that.